Let's take a look at the spear card. Like all the Grimm cards, this is stainless steel and sized to fit in the credit card slot of your wallet or a personal survival tin. All the cards are stainless steel. This white backer is removable, and you can stick this to something and it's going to be there when you need it. All the tools come out of the cards, and the first time you take the tool out, there's a small metal tabs that usually hold them in place, and you just kind of have to twist through those. Now once that's out, the tools are all going to be usable, and you can put them back on the card using the tool retention system. Just line it up, give it a press, and it's back on the card and ready to go. So the spear card focuses on one item, and that is making a spear, and it does a heck of a job with it. Now there are several variations of spears you can do with this. Each of these two spearheads are usable independently. So if you had another person with you, you could make two spears and double your chances hunting as a team or a tribe. You also have the ability to throw one. So you could throw it as a hand spear, you could attach this to an atlatl to get a little better distance. But it's most effectively going to be used is joining this together and turning this into a spear that resembles a modern day broadhead. So I'm going to pull the spear out here. And if I was going to use this as a single bladed tool, so if I was going to reserve one spear and use the other one, maybe I was going to throw it, maybe I didn't have the material or didn't have the desire to make the largest broadhead style spear, this would be the one I would go with. This has a solid point. The other one, see the point has that small slit in it, and that is going to let these two join together. So if you're using this as an individual spear, this one is going to be my first choice. So the size of this spearhead is incredibly impressive. You see the size of this thing. As far as the actual dimension, it's about 3 1/8 inches long, and our width is about 1.5 inches. So this is the secondary head. This is my second choice of the two heads if I was using them individually. And we can see it's got this split up the center. This is still plenty strong enough for large game, still plenty strong enough for medium game. Both spearheads have these large lash points, and that's going to help you attach it to a stick. This is not something that you would necessarily see on a primitive spearhead, but for a modern survival spearhead, it's a great idea. You can use larger cordage such as paracord, which is something that survival guys kind of have with them from time to time. And you see how well that fits in here. These larger lashing points would also work great with improvised cordage if you were forced to use 2-liter bottle cordage in an emergency, if you had any type of natural reverse wrap cordage. There is no disadvantage to having a larger lashing point on a modern spearhead. This is really enough right here to have two full-size spearheads with you in a bad situation. That you can use these for hunting or for self-defense is a great option that takes up no space in your kit. But the fact that these nest together is an absolute deal breaker. This makes this a nearly mandatory item for primitive hunting. So I can get these pretty close to being seated by hand, but it's a really tight fit. So I'm going to use the bench behind me and press it down. So here is the spearhead nested together, and I can break these back down. I can put them back on the card, slip it back in my wallet. So the fit on this is almost perfect. You really can't tell that that's not one piece from the factory. So if this isn't the kind of thing that gets you excited, I don't think we can be friends. The fact that you can chase game around with a head like this, there is not an animal walking the woods in my area that a spearhead like this is not going to take down. There is nothing as primal as cutting a straight stick and attaching a massive spearhead like this. With the proper technique, you can get into a elevated platform and ambush game as they're walking by. You can get in certain areas where you can pin medium-sized game, or if you were lucky enough to trap animals, maybe snared something. A snare is not going to kill an animal most of the time, but a big old spearhead like this sure will. If you're the kind of guy that has a hiking stick that they always take to the woods with them, if you just cut a simple X pattern in the top of that stick, nobody's going to know the difference. And in a bad situation, you're going to have the gear you normally have plus your hiking stick, and then you can pull your wallet out and pull a Spearhead out of there. That is pretty darn impressive. So if you're in a sticky wilderness situation and you have the normal gear with you, you'd normally have in a lighter and a water bottle and a knife, you probably don't have a spear. The durability of this compared to just sharpening a wooden stick and fire hardening it if you're lucky, that doesn't even compare. You have 4 cutting surfaces. So if you're thinking, man, a Spearhead, I don't know if that's really something I need, you might want to rethink this. As far as self-defense, most of the time you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. But if you were, this is going to beat the heck out of having a pointy stick. And as far as hunting, my number one hunting tool is always going to be a gig, and I'm going to be going around the water's edge and looking for fish and looking for frogs and looking for small to medium-sized game. And this ups the ante on this. You can use this several different ways. As I mentioned, you can break the heads down. So you could have this and actually throw a lighter weight spear and still have a second spear to retain in case you had a bad hit and needed to finish the animal off. I would without doubt attach this to an atlatl foreshaft. You could do this as a double like it is, or you could do a single blade and have 2 different atlatl darts. Great options with this. This is definitely one that you need to think about adding to your kit.